This video is for all of my knitting and crocheting girlies or guys. I love bringing my knitting projects on the road with me. I love knitting in the car, but I have found difficulty in bringing my knitting supplies with me because I feel like everything's in a different spot. I have to jumble through everything in my bags and get all my knitting stuff together, and I just wish it was all in one place. So we're going to be making a project pouch. You could use it for embroidery, you could use it for crochet, knitting, whatever sort of like little hand crafts you want to do on the go. I'm inspired by the project pouch that Petite Knit has created. I think she dropped that a few years ago, but it's so cute. It's very functional looking, but it's not cute enough in my personal opinion. So it's obviously like a quilted pouch, but it's not patchwork. And I have been on my quilted patchwork grind, my era lately, and they're all just popping off. I want to have the cutest project pouch ever, and I want to make a tutorial for you guys so you can also have the perfect knitting pouch. And it's going to be patternless. You can do it super easy at home. To start off, you're going to need a bowl. Now, the size of this project pouch is up to you. This is the second largest Pyrex bowl in my little set that I have. It's just over 8.5 inches wide. You can use that as a reference for finding a bowl, but you could make a project pouch that is bigger or smaller. It's up to you. You decide. But mine is about 8.5, just over. It's kind of more like 8 3/4. I have referenced this book in so many videos at this point. I thrifted this encyclopedia of classic quilt patterns. I got it for $1.50 at the DI, and I have loved this book. Honestly, it's probably the book that I've used most in the last few months. I've already made 3-4 patterns from this book, so I highly recommend looking for a book like this at your thrift store. I've seen so many, but you could even pick up a book like this from the library. But I also know that there are so many free patterns just like this on Pinterest. For this specific pouch, if you're going to make it the same size as mine or roughly the same size, you are going to want a quilt pattern for a 12 inch by 12 inch block, and that's finished size. You could make up your own pattern if you want to, but you are going to need to make sure that the finished size is 12 by 12, where the unfinished size would be like 12.5 by 12.5. Does that make sense for the seam allowance? So finished size is 12 by 12. This is the one that I found. If you like it, I'm sure you could find something identical, or if you really want mine, I can take a picture of the book, post it on Instagram or something like that. But this is what I have done so far. And then you're going to need 3 of those quilt blocks. So 1, 2, and then this is my third one. It's kind of incomplete because this is going to be the bottom of the pouch, and I just need a circle from it. So I didn't really want to like go in and waste all of the corner fabrics because I won't need it. But that's what you're kind of going to need to get started. You need a cord of some kind because it's a drawstring bag. And you are also going to need, sorry, this is a bad example, quilt batting. I just have a pile of like quilt batting scraps that I've been holding on to, so you're gonna need some sort of quilt batting. But I was thinking, if you don't have quilt batting scraps and you don't want to have to like go out and buy like a whole new one, you could use like felt or wool, or you could even use a flannel. You decide. Or you probably don't even need something to go in between the layers. It is going to add a little more durability, so it's up to you. Use a towel even. Like I said, flannel, felt, wool, whatever you want. And then you'll just need some extra fabric to do the lining and pockets on the inside. So that's kind of the materials that you're going to need. For the cord, you could just pick up like piping cord. I decided not to, just because I don't really want to buy any just for this one project. So I actually knit my own I-cord, but you can crochet I-cord also, and it doesn't take very long, I don't think. I knit this up after, like, while watching 3 movies over the weekend. So really it didn't take too long. This is 65 inches of I-cord. So you'll need that, or you could use ribbon, or you could get, you know, just cord from the store, but I decided to do I-cord because I really thought it would be cute too. It was fun. First step, you're gonna need some type of paper. I'm just using some parchment paper. Take your pencil, just draw around your bowl. And that's really all you needed the bowl for. And then add your seam allowance, which is a 1/4 inch. Okay, other thing you need to do is measure the circumference of your bowl. So use a fabric measurement tape. I already know mine is 27.5. That is an important measurement, so remember, this circle becomes the pattern for the base of your bag. So I'm going to cut around that dotted line, and then we'll be ready to get to work. Okay, let's actually do some math. So I have been working on what will be like the cylinder, like the body of the pouch. So this is actually going to wrap around the base like that. Hopefully that makes sense. So we have to do some math. The circumference of my bowl, not including the added seam allowance, is 27.5. Then I have 2 12 by 12 blocks that I'm using to go around the base, but 12 times 2 is only 24, so that leaves us with 3.5 left over. That's what these yellow strips are for, is to add that extra. And you can do this however way you want to. I just thought this would be really cute. So this 3.5 divided by 2 is 1.75, so 1 3/4. So that's how much we need the finish strip to be. So now we need to add the seam allowance. So it's going to be 1.75 plus a 1/2 inch for seam allowance. So that puts us at 2.25, which is 2 inches and 1/4. So that is how wide I cut my strips at. This is my math. It depends on your bowl. So your bowl measurement is going to be this, and then you need to do the math to come up with this number. But my strips are 12 by 2¼ Oh, sorry, 12½ actually, because that's the unfinished length. Hopefully that makes sense, but this is the pattern that I'm going to use for the base. We've got this all figured out. So I'm going to start cutting. Everything is about layers. We're making a quilt, essentially. So we've cut a circle for the bottom, some batting, and some lining fabric. And all of these are going to get sandwiched together, just like a quilt. I'm going to line it up, pin around the edges, and then do some lines to quilt it all together. The same exact concept is going to apply for your big long piece. So I've got some batting pinned on here. I kind of had to do some patchworking, and then I have a lining piece that I'm going to put on there too. So I'm going to pin those together and also quilt that, so that you've got the circle piece and the rectangle piece both quilted together and perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. After quilting everything together, this is what we've got. It's looking so cute. After you quilt it all, don't forget to give the whole thing just a good press with your iron, just because it makes it really clean looking, and it's going to make your finished project just look so crisp and perfect. So that part, I would say, is essential. Next thing, we're going to be creating some little pockets to go on the inside of our pouch. So to do that, you're going to need a piece of fabric that is the same width as your big rectangle, so that length measurement. You need a piece that's that same length, and then it's going to be 12 inches wide, so that we can fold it together and it will end up being 6 inches then. We're going to stitch it on here and create our little pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and press it, pin it, and I'll show you the pocket creating. Here's what it looks like. You're just going to fold your piece of fabric, wrong sides together, give it a press, and then line it up with the bottom half of your piece. And then I'm just going to pin it around and then decide how big I want my pockets to be, how many pockets I want. It's kind of up to you. You could do like one's this big or that big, or you know, whatever you decide. So it's up to you. I'm going to stitch along with my pre-stitched quilting from before, just so it all looks really uniform. You could take like your different knitting supplies and line them up and see like, oh, I have these scissors. That's going to take at least 3 of these to get the right pocket size, but whatever you want. It's totally customizable to you. So yeah. Okay, here are what my little pockets are looking like. It's looking pretty good. Next step, and this is now when the bag is actually going to start coming together, we're going to put right sides together and stitch this seam so that it becomes an actual cylinder. I am also going to cut some bias binding to cover up that seam. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches for bias binding, and you could just, you know, purchase them if you want to, but I always prefer just making my own. It does take a little bit of extra effort, but I think it always makes a cleaner look. Okay, I am going to line it up on the edge, stitch it once again. And then I'm just gonna use my iron directly on this. Fold your bit of fabric under so that the seam is completely encased and just seamless. I'm actually going to come over to the right side and just press this seam open really good so that there's not any overlapping or bulking. Okay, now I'm just going to sew this down, and now we have just like a perfect little loop, and we've got all of our pockets on the inside. So next step, I'm going to put my base down. So I'm just going to go ahead and start pinning it up. I am going to take my scissors and trim this edge a little bit so that there's only about like 1/8 of an inch left. I have some more bias binding. This time it's still 1.5, but this time I have kind of folded it like traditional bias tape, and I'm going to use that to cover up that edge. So I'm just going to pin it around so that when I stitch I get both sides at the same time, and then that's all I'm going to do. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, here is the bit of binding that I put on that bottom seam to finish off the edge. So the whole thing is looking really nice and finished off on the inside. On the outside it looks really good and clean and finished off too. And we're getting really close to the end. So now we just have to figure out the actual drawstring part, and then it'll be all done. Okay, to finish up, you're going to need a piece that is the length of the circumference of your bag plus 1/2 inch for seam allowance, and then it's going to be 3.5 inches wide. Then I'm going to stitch this side so that we've got a loop. After making that into a loop, now I'm going to fold it wrong sides together in half like that and press it. I'm going to do that all the way around. And then I'm going to pick one of these sides and fold in a 1/4 inch. It should look a little bit like this. And then I'm going to bring this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew 5/8 from the edge. I need to sew 2 buttonholes on this piece. So I'm going to go close to this seam, but not right on it, and then I'm going to fold it right there to find the exact halfway point on the opposite side. So I'm going to put 1 buttonhole here and 1 here, just on the side that has the folded edge. Not leave the one without the folded edge alone, and leave it out of it. And you don't want to go like too close to this folded edge or too close to the seam. You want to go probably about at least 1/8 of an inch away from both of those. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut those little buttonholes open. So it should look something like that. Now we're ready to attach this piece. So I am going to line up the little buttonholes with the 2 strips that I have on the edge. The folded part is eventually going to go on the outside, so you're going to put the unfolded part and place it along the lining, and then we're going to stitch right there. So hopefully that makes sense. Bring this out to the front, and you're just going to top stitch it down. Last step is to put your cord in. So like I said earlier, this one is 65 inches. I'm using this little thing to insert it, but you could just use like a safety pin. And that's what it'll look like. So tie your cord or stitch it together, whatever you want, and then you're done. Truly, your last step now is to just add all of your knitting stuff. So the sweater I'm working on, you can put that all the way at the bottom, and extra yarn, a little swatch I've been working on, different needles, we can put those in there, and my little booklet full of knitting stuff. I could probably transfer a lot of this directly into there, but I'll wait for now. You've got all of your stuff in there. You can organize it however you want, and then just close it all up. You do not have to put such a long cords onto it like I have, but I decided to because now it's a purse. And now I can just sling it over my shoulder and bring it anywhere with me. Could have been a little higher, so it probably didn't have to be as long as it is, but I could always adjust that later if I don't like this length. But yeah, there we go. It's perfect. Very cute. Even if you are not a knitter or crocheter or embroiderer, you could make this just as a purse. That would be really just like a cute little outing purse, picnic purse. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial. It's not perfect. This is like the first one I've made, but in my opinion, it's pretty good. Very, very cute, and I love it. I I can't wait to use it. It's definitely giving me motivation to do all of my knitting. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like seeing stuff like this, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys later.